Previously on Cambridge Latin Course, the badly animated series.
Oh, hello there!
This man is Gaius Salvius Liberis.
Oh, hello there!
One day, I hurried to the city with a slave, because I wanted to visit Clemens. That man owned a shop near the port of Alexandria. The slave, to lead me, was an Egyptian boy. In the city was a huge crowd, which was filling the streets. Merchants were walking through the streets. At last we arrived at the port of Alexandria. Very many Egyptians were here, but we were not able to see any Greeks. The boy, after he noticed this, anxiously said,
"It would be better for us to return to the house of Barbilus. We are not able to go to the shop of Clemens. The streets are dangerous because the Egyptians are angry. All the Greeks fled from this part of the city."
"No," I replied to the boy. "Although the Egyptians are angry, I do not want to return to the house. We already made a long journey. We are almost at the shop of Clemens. It is necessary that we proceed cautiously." And so, to Clemens' shop we hurried. But in the street very many Egyptians were blocking our way. In the Egyptian crowd was an old Egyptian man blaming the Greeks. All listened to him intently. When I saw this, I was worried. The Egyptian boy, who noticed my anxiety, led me to the nearest small house.
"Master, in this small house lives a craftsman, who Barbilus knows well. It is necessary for us to enter the small house and to avoid the danger."
Craftsman was looking through a window in the small house by chance. When the boy recognized us, he then gladly accepted us into his house. When we entered the small house, I whispered, "Who is this craftsman?"
"It is Diogenes, the Greek carpenter,"
replied the boy. When I heard this, I was more afraid. For in this small house was a Greek. Outside the door of this small house the Egyptians blamed the Greeks. Suddenly the slave shouted,
"Oh no! The Egyptians are hostilely attacking the small house."
Diogenes immediately headed to the closet. Inside were 5 clubs, which Diogenes took out and handed to us. The Egyptians broke down the door and burst into the house. We bravely resisted the Egyptians, but there were many, and only a few of us. 7 Egyptians surrounded me. 2 were seriously wounded, but the others overpowered me. I fell down unconsciously. When I regained consciousness, I looked around the small house. Diogenes stood in the middle of the hut in tears. Near me lay my boy. "The boy is dead," says Diogenes. "The Egyptians killed him, because he defended you." One day I was going through the city streets with Barbilus. Suddenly someone approached us. Barbilus, as soon as he caught sight of him, gave a big groan. "Oh dear! How miserable we are! Look at his Plancus, a very clever man, who is never quiet.
Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah.
He always wants to gossip
blah,
about the
blah.
temples of the gods
Blah,
and
blah,
other
blah.
monuments."
Blah blah.
Hello, my dear fellow. How are you today? Where are you hurrying to?
To the temple.
To the temple of Augustus?
No. We are going to the temple of Serapis. We're off to see the temple. The wonderful temple of Serapis, because there isn't a temple quite like this.
There isn't a temple quite like this.
Surely you ought to do business with other merchants. Goodbye.
Today I am on holiday. It is convenient for me to go to the temple of Serapis. I am able to tell you about Serapis.
Plancus was chattering with us. He began to tell us about all the monuments. Our friend is more talkative than a parrot and more stubborn than an ass. Look at the temple. We have come here just at the right time. It is the 4th hour. Now the priests are accustomed to make a sacrifice. Suddenly a trumpet sounded. Be silent, all of you who are present. Be silent, you who want to see this sacrifice. All of the men and women were silent at once. Well, well. Do you see Plancus? When the priest asked for silence, even he was silent at last. It is a miracle. The God saved us. We're off to see the temple. The wonderful temple of Serapis. We hear he is a god of a god, if ever a god there is. If ever a god there was. Serapis is one because there isn't a temple quite like this.
There isn't a temple quite like this.
We're off to see the temple. The temple of Serapis.